everybody. Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity. And you know, what I love about what I do here is the fact that I get to talk to people who, if you listen to the radio much at all, you hear them every day. A lot of great bands, a lot of great solo artists, a lot of mixture of both. And you know, one of those bands is Pure Prairie League. They've been around for over 50 years, and you know who they are the moment one of their songs come on, and they're just one of the pillars, one of the big contributors to the soundtrack of our youth, and very distinctive sound. It's almost comforting when you hear them, because it's like, yeah, there's a familiar voice. And you might be surprised to know that they recently come out with a new album, and I got to talk to one of the remaining original members or longtime members of the band, Mike Reilly. And we have a fascinating talk both about the new album and the staying power of the sound and the music, the songs of Pure Prairie League. We even talk a little bit about Vince Gill, an alumni of that band. So I would love for you to pay close attention to this album, or this interview about the album. And as you're listening to it, just reminisce. And while you're doing it, reach out, buy the album. Please buy the physical album, the CD, because that's how bands are still supported. And while you're at it, would you hit like and subscribe? That's free. It's not going to cost you anything. It just helps us out a lot. And share this with friends that you know are Pure Prairie League fans, or who had forgotten about him maybe. They're going to love this interview, and they're going to even love the album even more. So without any further ado, here is my first interview, and I hope it's not my last, with Mike Reilly of the Pure Prairie League. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Hey, man.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, nice backdrop, man.
I thought you might like that. I hope you didn't notice the album cover's missing, though. So, where are you clicking in from?
Sag Harbor, New York.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're a little bit north of me. I'm in the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah, a little bit north. Yeah, I'm on the east end of Long Island.
Oh, okay. All right. I've got friends on Long Island. So good deal. Good deal. Well, hey, thank you for joining me. This is both an honor and a pleasure for me. And I want to thank you for all the years of fantastic music. It's, I don't know how many times I've cranked up, Amy or whatever with, any of the hits when they come on the radio, especially on satellite. And, it's such a big part of the soundtrack of our generation's, youth that, you can't imagine how much I appreciate the music and the fact you're still out there making it and taking the time to talk to me. So thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So I love this new album. First of all, I love the album cover. I mean, that's just right in line with the others, right? And, very colorful, very, like I said, very consistent. And who did the album cover for you?
Well, I designed it, and I had a friend of mine, Bill Brown, in Nashville, do the artwork. He did the painting.
Phenomenal job.
Yeah, he did great. I was, everything that I asked him for, he did, and then some. So
very cool.
He also did the last album for us, the All in Good Time.
Oh, cool. All right, because I noticed that one was pretty cool. I can see some of the artistic consistencies there. I'm not an artist, don't even play one on TV, but now that you mention that, I can see some commonality there, with both being completely different, of course. So, well, I love this album. I know it's been out for a couple of months already, but tell me the story behind it, Mike. What, how did it all come together? How long did it take you guys to get it together? Songs being written, all that. Tell me a bit about it.
Well, back in the spring of 23, I had the two new guys, Jared Kamek on bass and Jeff Zona on guitar, and Randy Harper, our keyboard player. They were talking about, maybe we should. It's been a long time. Maybe we should do an EP. So I said, bring me some songs. So Jeff had a few songs, and Jared was writing at the time, and I love the stuff. I said, to hell with an EP. Let's do a full record. And we wound up recording 15 songs and chose these 12.
Wow.
Yeah, so we started recording in July of 24, finished it, or 23, and then finished it in July of 24.
Gotcha. Wow, that's quite a compressed time frame for you to be able to go from talking to getting it recorded. That's I mean, I know songwriting is not an easy task, right? So
Well,
what went
Jeff had
into
had
that?
the five tunes that Jeff wrote. He had in his back pocket for a little while, and basically I just sort of updated them and worked with the arrangements. And
Hmm.
Jared, he had just written a new set of lyrics for Back on Track, and he
Hmm.
had a couple other songs that he had just written. And then I brought in two Gary Burr songs. Gary was in the band from in the mid '80s and also in the early aughts. And
Hmm.
um,
Okay.
and then we did a couple of cover tunes too. There's a song called "Love Song" by Leslie Duncan that I first heard on Elton John's Tumbleweed
Yeah.
Connection album in 1971.
And
And
then
I
it was on
that
the
song
first
has
live
always
album too. So,
yeah, yeah. That song has always haunted me, and so I just wanted to do a pure Prairie League treatment of it. And then,
mhm.
we did a song that we've been doing on stage when Craig was in the band, called 6 Feet of Snow. It's a Little Feat song.
Hmm.
And so, and we love those guys. We did a Feat song on the last record also, Cajun Girl. And so we just,
Hmm.
we're just sort of paying tribute to our hombre friends you know, uh, and to Lowell, of course. It was just a fun song to do. So, that's how we wound up choosing the 12 on the record. And, we're proud of it.
Well, you should be. It's everything. I mean, it's it sounds like it's the signature sound of PPL, while at the same time being new, fresh. It doesn't sound like a rehash of other songs. It doesn't sound like you're trying to mine the old hits to create new ones. It's fresh, and so but I love it. I absolutely love it. What was different about? I mean, you guys have done a few albums, worked on other albums. What were what was different about putting this album together compared to the others?
Well, it's been almost 2 decades since we put out the last one. So, we're
I should have known that, and it doesn't seem like it's been that long though. It speaks to my age, I guess.
well, welcome to the club, but that's the name of the show. It's Boomerocity, and we're probably close to the same age. But
Close, yeah.
the just the idea that we wanted something fresh. But this band is this band of players. They're all monster players and singers,
Hmm.
and they're all fans of the band. So, the idea behind doing a new project was, first of all, we want new songs, and second of all, we want to pay tribute, and keep the musical thread consistent.
Hmm.
Um, and these guys are, they play at such a high level that it was just a joy to record and produce. And we wanted it to be something new. We didn't want to just rehash an old tune or reprise some
Right.
old thing. We've always kind of pushed the envelope on doing some outside the box stuff. And so you've got a song like Back on Track, which is funk, and then you've got a
Hmm.
song like Modern Problem, which is it's almost like '80s prog rock.
Yeah.
So we figured we'd throw a couple of curveballs in there, and as well as doing the standard. Everything sounds like pure Prairie League with the vocals and the musicianship.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, and you mentioned the band. I think it's a testament to, like you said, their talent as well as your selection of them. Because you know, let's face it, a lot of the bands from back in the heyday, they're still around, but and people complain that oh, it's not the original band. It's pick a band, and somebody's going to complain about them. I mean, good Lord, there's
Yep.
still people complaining that the Rolling Stones aren't the Rolling Stones because Brian Jones isn't in it. And I mean, how long has he been gone? So, but at the same, so I don't go down that path because I feel like bands, they deserve to keep going if there's still people, at least one person that want to keep it going. I'm all for it and I support it. But what I do see happen sometimes, and it's not the case with PPL, is that the band doesn't act or doesn't sound like they're hired guns
Nope.
and just going through the motions and trying to get as close to the originals as possible. I mean, this sounds like a band excited to be pure Prairie League, and there's an excitement about it. There's again freshness. I don't want to overuse the word, but you guys have nailed it, and I think that's amazing, and I salute you for making that happen.
Well, I appreciate that. That was the idea behind the whole thing. And if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. But
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you about the whole, that's one of the downsides of social media is that everybody's got an opinion and we're welcome to it. It's like, don't shove that shit down my throat. But hey, it's just, people are going to be people and, there's going to be haters, there's going to be likers, there's going to be people that are going to be surprised. And,
Mm-hmm.
we just take it with a grain of salt and, we know what we did. So, we're okay
That's
with it.
right. That's right. Were there what was different about putting this, well, I kind of already went there, but as far as surprises, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Putting this album together, working on it, it's not new to you to put an album together, even though it's been a while since PPL did. What what surprised you in putting this album together?
Just the variety of the songs that were submitted, by the guys in the band. By the way, you mentioned something about the fact that this band is excited to be the band, and yes, they are. And that's the live shows reflect that also. I mean, it's a great stage show. We're not, we don't do pyrotechnics and flash pots and light shows and stuff like that. We just get up there and play good music. But you can tell
Right.
that the guys in the band love this music and they're doing their damnedest to make sure that the people enjoy it. And so I
Mhm.
don't think there's anybody that's going to be walking out of a concert saying that they didn't get their money's worth and then some.
Right, right.
And then back to your question, it was like, Jared brought in that song called "The Price of Love," and it's sort of the treatment that we did with it was sort of well, first of all, it's a little nod to our friend Jimmy Buffett, who we lost last year.
Hmm.
And it's just sort of one of those kind of things where nobody expects PPL to do a reggae tinge song. So, so we called up our friend Matt Britton in Nashville, who plays steel drums, and brought him in to do the session, and he was all over it. It was great. So, there's songs like that, and songs like Modern Problem, which Gary wrote in 1985, and we'd been doing
Wow.
that song on and off for years, and I finally got the arrangement that I wanted and the performance that I wanted. So, it had to be on this album. We still play that song live and it goes over great. And,
Mhm.
and things like Back on Track, it's like PPL, you don't equate PPL and funk, but, I think we tossed in the funk, as Bootsy would say.
Yeah. Well, and who knows what kind of crowd you'll reel in for that, people that appreciate that, And I think your PPL crowd, your longtime fans, I mean, let's face it, they're not just listening to PPL music. I know that's not a shock to you. So I think it's a nice segue or a nice complement to the PPL sound. What has been the feedback that you've gotten so far on the album?
Well, the biggest surprise to me is the fact that I'm getting so many comments from Europe.
Ah,
We're on playlists, and we're on the charts in the Benelux countries and Germany and Sweden and the Scandinavian countries. It's just, as well as, of course, England and France, Ireland, Italy, Spain. It's amazing that the feedback that we're getting from all over the world, and not just the United States.
mm-hmm.
So we put this out on our own label. We self-promoted, and it's just amazing that once again, thanks to the streaming services, et cetera, that you can get your music out there, and the feedback from everybody's just been fabulous. I mean, I'm loving I'm, as a matter of fact, I'm posting a bunch of the reviews on our website just because they're so good. And you can tell that people are listening to this record and sort of dissecting it in their own way, and very astute observations from a lot of folks.
Cool. I do think that in some ways, the streaming has over commoditized music. Of course, there's such an over and abundance of it. It's hard to stand out these days. Even if you have good name recognition, it can be tough for a good, well-known band to kind of get some traction sometimes. But I agree with you. I think there's a growing segment of listeners of all kinds of music who are becoming a bit more, I hate to use the word discriminating, but much more intelligent, maybe, about their
Sophisticated.
listening. Yeah, sophisticated, that's it. And a deep listener. They can, I think that might be the saving grace of music, and what keeps AI from taking it over and producing everything. What
Absolutely.
is Speaking of, I've been asking people this in the last bunch of interviews. I'd be interested to get your take on it. Catalogs are selling, and I don't know who owns your, the PPL catalog, but I don't know if you guys still have it or if someone else has it. But you have these catalogs being bought up by really deep pockets, right? Big box people.
I wish some of
Some of
those
those
guys would
people.
call me.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't
But
mind
there,
dipping into their pockets.
and then you have AI coming into the picture, and I'm just, have you given any thought as to what that will mean for music in the future? Is it going to be harmful? Is it going to be helpful? What do you think?
I can't see it being helpful in any way, shape, or form. Music is an art form, and it's organic. And there's nothing organic about AI. You can duplicate, you can mimic, you can mirror, but you can't replace the real thing. And I mean, I'm old school. So, I grew up, listening to music and playing music in the 60s and onwards. So, the idea of AI, it's like, wait a minute, if you can't write a letter, or you can't write your own resume because, you've got to have chatbot do it or whatever, it's like, I'm sorry, but then that's just the state of education these days, and the whole thing scares me to death. I
Yeah.
just do not appreciate. Let AI do medical research. Let it do, improve on technology, but don't take over the human element.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. One thing I do think could be helpful, but I think again, it's only going to benefit the people that are buying up the catalogs, and it's not, it's be too much too late for you and your peers, is that AI, I think, can crawl the internet, can crawl the universe to get a much more accurate accounting for royalty reasons.
Well, that'd be nice.
that I think it'd be great. I mean, now somebody's got to own that output of that and still report it. I mean, it's not entirely foolproof, but I think it would give somebody, you know, good data by which to calculate royalties for people. You know,
Well,
if you do
like I
that
said,
and you improve the split from the streamers to the artists or to whoever is owed money, those two combinations can be a very good thing, I think. But I don't want to. I hate to see the catalogs blended in with AI and then regurgitated out as an output of AI from from the library,
I agree.
and that's what I'm concerned about, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah. Well,
but
hey, with inventions, the right tools in the right hands can be a boon to mankind. The right tools in the wrong hands can just rip us all off. And
yep.
that's what I'm fearful of.
What Going back to the PPL catalog, what have are there any stories that you've heard from fans about certain songs that just says, that have touched you, that stand out whenever you think back over, Pure Prairie League's tenure, and you hear, there are certain songs that you say, hey, I remember a fan told me this tied to that song, or maybe the story behind the song getting recorded. Anything cool you'd like to share with fans in that
There's
regard?
been a lot of things over the last 55 years that that stand out. But one thing was there was a college professor that wrote me a very nice letter. He was teaching at a college in the Northeast, I think in New Jersey or Connecticut, and he used one of our songs that I happened to write as that was his semester's uh, project. I mean, he basically tore that song apart and, used it in his English class to show the art of songwriting, the art of production, the art of, making the music and bringing that to the people. And it was a very, very interesting class that he did. And it was packed with people. They loved it. And if you know that you've affected somebody when people start writing into you saying, I listened to one of your songs in an English class, and it made me want to get all the songs and listen to them all. So yeah, it's just the ripple effect, and it was really a gratifying thing to hear. But there's countless stories about uh, of just people that the songs affected them in a certain way, brings them back to a certain time in their life, helped them through. I mean, I had a friend of mine that uh, he's a stockbroker or a financial guy in Cape May, New Jersey, and he was a fighter pilot in Vietnam,
Hmm.
and he said that our music helped him and his buddies get through their experience in Vietnam. I mean, Jesus,
Very cool.
talk about touching you. So,
Yeah,
those kind of things are, that's once in a lifetime, and it's, extremely gratifying to know that we actually did have an effect on somebody. And, I feel that that's our job as musicians and songwriters.
I agree. I agree. Well, I know for me, taking maybe 2 degrees back here, I can listen to satellite radio and, songs will come on. I play little games when I'm driving by myself to see how many artists on a song or, on the stations as I'm listening on my drive have I talked to, or had something to do with. And so for me, that's, I just kind of pat myself on the back. No one else is in the car with me. And I'm thinking, hey, yeah, I got to talk to them. Now I get to say that about any PPL song that comes up. And gosh, I got to talk to Mike on that one. But for you and your peers who have written songs and you still hear the songs being played, that has got to be one of the most amazing feelings. maybe second only to hearing people tell you the stories like you just shared. Am I mean, a dumb question, but am I correct on that?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. It's once again, it's when people listen to some of Vince Gill's earlier songs
Hmm.
with PPL, and then you listen to the songs that he's been putting out for the last 20 years or so. He's really matured as a songwriter. I don't know how you could get any better singing and playing the way he does, but
Hmm.
it's that kind of thing to see somebody grow with with their age group and their peer group, and it's just
Hmm.
an amazing thing to me that some folks really tune into that.
Does he ever join up with you from time to time? I know the Eagles thing's kind of got him a little bit busy, but do you guys hear much from him at all?
Oh yeah, all the time. When we play the Grand Ole Opry, Vince tries to make sure that he's going to be in town and he can host so that he can introduce us, and then he'll bring his guitar up and he'll play with us. So it's always a lot
Very,
of fun.
very cool. Very cool.
I
I've
wish I
never
could
met.
match the Eagles' paycheck.
Boy, wouldn't that be great? Talk about catalogs, So, I've never met Vince. I've seen him with the Eagles, of course, and so I just from what I gather from other people, he is just one of a kind guy. He's super, seems to be genuine. He's certainly talented, as you already know, but I just think the world of him from a distance. So I hope to talk to him someday. What we've touched on the business and AI and all that. What's been the best and worst changes in the business that you've seen, and what would you do to change the music business?
Well, people seem to forget that the music business, the key word there is business. And a lot of one of the biggest changes that I was sad to see is that the record companies back in the 70s and 80s had A&R departments. They had people that they hired, creative people that knew music and knew talent and would bring it to the record company. And that they were all the A&R guys were replaced by bean counters. And that to me started to spell the end of the music being more important than the business. And so the
Hmm.
business took over, and it was just a way to, monetize and make their dough. The musicians didn't really benefit from that so much. And so I think that was the biggest change in the music business that that affected me personally, and also everybody that I knew. I've got friends like Dave Pomeroy, who's the president of the Musicians Union in Nashville, who's been lobbying for musicians' rights and payment rights and all those kind of things for years and years and years. And so there are people out there that are still fighting for the musicians, but it's getting tougher and tougher these days. And now with AI, you don't know who's hacking into your stuff and claiming responsibility and claiming ownership even.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. Well, I mean, heck, even I mean, think about it. The fact that you and I are talking like this, I'll post this interview in a week or so. Someone else could get it and grab it, run it through AI, and do who knows what. I mean,
Yeah.
I, I can't imagine why they would want to do that with my ugly mug, but with yours, since yours is known, they might want to have you say something that you would never say. I mean, I hope that never happens, but it is scary. I mean, we put ourselves out there for consumption, and then what's done with that?
Guess what? It's already happened.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said, I've been, they would, they had me saying things I would never say to anybody, let alone to a camera or an interviewer. And
Mm.
you can tell that the words that were being spoken didn't sync up with my lips And so if
Right.
you can read lips at all, you know that this was fake. And yeah, it's happened, and it's going to probably continue to happen.
That's scary. It's very scary. So what would you do to fix the music business? Somebody, the powers that be make you music czar over the entire world. What would you do to fix the business?
Get it back into the hands of the musicians and the artists, uh, real songwriters, real musicians. I mean, because now you can get machines to do everything and take all the music talent out of the
Mhm.
equation. And it sounds great, but it's like, wait a minute, I mean, it's blood without plasma as far as I'm concerned. And once again, I would
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah,
I would take it right back to the musicians.
very cool. Well, you do see some labels doing that. There's some artist-driven type of labels, very small. Mike Zito, he's got a great blues label with Gulf Coast Records, and there's two or three others slip my mind at the moment. Joe Bonamassa, gosh, he does everything from soup to nuts, and then he just inks distribution deals, right? So
Yep.
I do think that what's sad about the music business is anymore the labels want artists to bring their popularity to the label and then give it all away to them in 360 deals. It's like, then why do you need the label?
Right.
What are they really going to do for you at that point? If you've already got a good following, you've already built distribution, you've got a loyal fan base, that kind of thing. Why need the label then? Just do what Joe did, that kind of thing. But I do think that you're right. I mean, at
Looks
least
like we paused.
to the artistic level, they need to turn it more over to the artist with some sound business behind it without the business taking it over, right?
Right. It.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just don't think that there are that many. I don't want to think that there are that many ignorant musicians. I would love to see musicians that are also attorneys and business managers, um, having input about the future of the music business. Um,
Mhm.
the thing is that it's become such a TikTok deal, where people want to be, they want to be influencers. It's like, well, that's just a way to get out of doing any, honest hard labor or hard work. But
Mhm.
it's the whole idea of branding yourself and calling yourself a musician. It's like, wait a minute, you've got to, like the old blues guy said, you've got to pay the dues. And there's so much of that is non-existent, and it
Yeah.
shows. It shows in the quality of the product, and with Pure Prairie League all over 55 years. I mean, you get what you see is what you get. I mean, it's warts and all, but it's the real deal. And I would just love to see more of the real deal and less of the prepackaged and manufactured music.
I agree. Well, what's on your radar for the rest of this year? What you got going on?
We're working our butts off. We did
Good.
29 gigs last year. We're on track to do 100 this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So we're going to be all over the country, and we're trying to put something together in Europe. It's the new album helps. That's really
Hmm.
kind of spurring some new interest. But it's just we're so busy. It's almost every weekend. We're sort of the weekend warriors. We've all got
Right.
families and jobs and stuff, but we go out from Thursday till Monday or whatever, and we're going to wind up doing 100 shows this year. So that's the agenda. It's a lot to keep up with, but we're up for the task. We're not that old.
No, we're not, are we?
We
Dadgummit.
better not be.
Well, man, I looked at the itinerary. Like I said, I'm up in the Smoky Mountains, so I'm about an hour east-ish of Knoxville, and I
Right.
was looking to see if you're going to be near here, and it doesn't look like you're going to be anytime soon, but I'm going to keep an eye on it so that when you are, I want to definitely catch your show and maybe sneak backstage and shake your hand in person and maybe get you signed an album or two. You can't see it here because I got your albums hiding everything, but I've got an office wall full of signed albums. I would love to put a PPL one or two into that mix because, like I said, I've loved your music all these years, and it's a thrill and an honor to be able to finally speak with you, Mike. And I
Well, I
appreciate
appreciate
you
it.
taking the time.
Thanks,
So
Randy. It's once again, it's because of these kind of things, which I think it's great. This is social outreach, and it's the good use of social media, and I'm all
hmm
for it.
hmm
Um, you know, it's hopefully this is part of the future of the business, and will help artists to be able to promote their products. So I appreciate you having me on and being a listener and a fan.
I look forward to reading good things about what PPL's doing, Mike. So,
Great, thanks. Appreciate it,
all right.
man.
Well, listen, have a good day. Stay healthy, and I'll see you down the road, okay?
Bet. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.